Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minute. It's great to have you on board. I'm Carl. Thanks for tuning in. And sorry I'm a little bit late. Just had a meeting here with Jeff discussing lots of different things. And it's pretty good stuff that we got coming for you here. We're going to a few little things in the live trade seat, and you'll be hearing more as we go forth. But we got some pretty cool things coming up here for you. Looking at the market, it's been pretty choppy, right? It sold off initially this morning, dropped down to about, open and ran down slightly, down 5 points or something like that. Has since come up and just been pretty choppy overall, flat. We're up about a point. Okay, so market's fairly choppy. Go look at our positions real fast. Let's run through Boeing. Boeing up about 19 cents. Initially it pulled back about $1, and it's since jumped up back up over this 140 level. That's good. And if you look at the volume on Boeing, it's pretty decent volume. Well, we still got 2.5 hours or so left in the trading day. Pretty decent volumes at this point of the day. And again, a nice, that looks fine. And then let's look at Morgan Stanley. Oops, not BAMS. Morgan Stanley, flat. And it's been down a little bit, up a little bit overall, hanging on onto the 31.5 mark. And then Qualcomm, up about 5 cents. Again, everything's a little bit off the highs, but all three positions, not any big changes, but not giving up much ground either. So overall, yeah, you're right, Richard. Just fairly flat. Okay. Some of the other stocks out there that talked about. Let's run through. Look at Facebook. Facebook flat. Also, another top three from a couple days ago, Goodyear. Now, Goodyear was originally a bull vibe signal, and then has turned into a trend rider signal today. So overall, Goodyear is showing off some pretty good strength. And then yesterday we had Yahoo. It's jumped up. It's been up about 70, 75 cents most of the morning. This is now a trend rider bull signal as well. Yesterday was a vibe bull, close to a trend rider. Now it's jumped and moved into a trend rider. This is a very strong looking signal. I love the fact with how it played around the $40 level, broke it, retested it, and pushed up strongly off of it. Jumped into the upper Bollinger Band. It's a good looking setup. Yeah, I know a lot of you got into this with Yahoo, and right now you could ride this. Just use the upper Bollinger Band. A stop at this point, you could just go inside the band. And when it closes back below the band, you could exit and keep a fairly tight stop on it when they keep running like this. And then DLPH up about 53 cents right now. It had a nice setup here around the $60 level. Ascending triangle reaching to 60 yesterday. We talked about this. No, I'm going through my yesterday's top three here. Nice ascending triangle pattern. This time the highs and lows kept getting higher and higher in here, and then a strong push through 60 yesterday on some strong volume. Very nice looking setup, and today's volumes is strong as well. At this point, you could move your stop up a little bit and ride it here. If it jumps into the upper Bollinger Band, it'd be easy. This doesn't tend to stay in the band for too long, but 3 days over here, a few in this range, but it's a strong move here on Delphi. And then the last one was Valero. And Valero's off the lows. It's up 19 cents. I'm sorry, down just 19 cents. Holding on to 51. Just if we get a couple days like this, it'd be considered just bullish consolidation. If we get some like this, push up here, it did. It jumped a little bit yesterday. It was one of the ones out of the group that we were looking at that had moved a little bit more than the others. So there was a chance of some consolidation. That's what we're getting. A little bit of consolidation. but overall nothing bearish here. Uh, the stop would have been on the 7. If it gets below the 7, then get out. But right now, it's just holding that level. It might even come a little bit lower than that. Let that 7 catch up with it and play another move. This one pulled back a little bit more to the 7 here, but if you get some days where it just goes sideways like this, you can see how it's happened here. Up, sideways, hits the 7, bounces up, comes back to 7, bounces up. Probably see very similar action here in the next little while here. But it's up and over the 50. It's holding the level. A hold of 51 or even 50 and a half would be phenomenal for it. Early on, this is pretty bullish. Okay, so those are the stocks that we've been talking about. If you guys have any stocks you want to look at, go ahead and put those in there. I received some emails and I've asked this morning to give some expectations on as far as the trend riders and the vibes. Expectations on gains, length of time for the trades uh, when entering those type of setups. Okay, so that's what I'll do. And I've talked a little bit about this in the past, and there's been chats on this in the past of how people have been trading those top three, right? Because those top three, all I focus on are those two strategy, trend rider and vibes. If I see other good looking signals, but it's not a trend rider or vibe, I might give those as a top three. I mean, sorry, as a runner up or something like that, but it's not going to be on a top three. It's going to be just vibes and trend riders. Okay, and the gains, length of time for the trades, it's going to vary. It's really going to vary. And I've received a lot of email, dozens of emails since I've been started giving those top three on, hey, how to trade these? What's the best way to trade them? And I've also got a lot of responses on how students have found the best way to trade them for themselves. And that's one of the beauties of the top three. I give a top three, and to me, those are all strong technical setups, right? Where the odds are in our favor. That's what the setups are telling us. The odds are in our favor that they're going to move the expected way, bullish or bearish. Okay, that's what those technical setups represent. And of course, it's not right all the time, but if you put the odds in your favor, you're going to be right a lot of the time, right? I don't know what the percentage is on the top three, but it's up there, and it will drop as market conditions change. When the market conditions change a little bit, it'll drop a little bit. So as far as the length of time, it's always tough to tell. I mean, you can have we've had top threes in the past that have just taken off. 3D, a top three. It's been a while now. It just took off. There's been other. I've had done a lot of top threes. I'd have to go back, but there's been a lot of them that just take off, and other ones that reverse and knock out. Right, just to be fair. And then there's some that take a while to develop. We've had top threes that don't go anywhere for a day or two, and then slowly start to go up. So the length of time is going to vary depending on what that stock does. So I can't give you a definite length of time. I have heard many times from one of our members that what he does on a top three, and I've mentioned this before, what he does, he'll trade the top three, and he'll stay in it for 2 days maximum. That he's just set a rule that if he's out within 2 days, if it breaks the stop the first day, then he'll probably get out. But even if it's running on him and it's going his direction, doesn't care. He just takes it after 2 days and moves on. And he's been pretty successful with that. And others, they'll trade one of my top three or two of the top three. And there's an email I need to answer right today, and maybe you're listening out there too. But that's what he was asking. Well, how much of my account should I invest if I'm going to do the top three? All right, and that the position sizing, and there's been some talk on this in the chat room today, is position sizing, and over trading, and we've all been there as traders. We've all jumped into too many trades. We put too much on one trade. We've not put enough on one trade. There's so many things that we learn almost pretty much by ourselves as we start at trading. You can go through a lot of different trading programs and learn it on your own, but some of the best lessons are going to come, the strongest lessons are going to come on your own trades, right? And how those work out. Yeah, that's a big order. on Morgan Stanley Vegas. Thanks. And so now we do a little position sizing. Now, if you've got, let's say 100,000, say you got 100,000 account, and you're trading 6, 10 trades. Well, you're going to be pretty busy, right? If you're managing 6, 8, 10 trades, what happens to some of those trades? They get overlooked, right? Unless you're right on top of every single one of them. Some of them can get overlooked because some of them are going to be more attention than others, right? Some of them are doing really well, and you're going to spend a lot of time on the ones that are doing well. Yet you're also going to spend a lot of time on the ones that aren't doing so well, right? So the ones that are just kind of hanging in there, maybe moving slowly for you, might get overlooked for a while, and before long, what could have been a gain, it might have turned into a loss, or you can overlook. So you've got to come. It's a personal thing. How many stocks can you effectively manage? How many trades at one time can you manage? And one way you can figure this out for yourself is try trading a bunch, without putting any risk in it. It's just virtual trade. See how many you can keep tabs on in a virtual trade account and keep good tabs on it, right? Four trades for me, I can keep I can keep my hands pretty. I can easily handle four, maybe 6 trades. But beyond that, I don't like going too far. Really, beyond four is I don't like to push it much beyond that. I want to pay close attention to my trades. Yeah, and there's been times when things are good, and I'll load up on more or go less, right? Depending on how confident you are in the market. Okay. And that's another thing too is your confidence and in the market. If the market's really choppy and the trades start to fluctuate kind of bit, and it's I always could go back to the time period before the big Fed announcement on tapering, right? It was not a lot of buyers in the market, not a whole lot of sellers, but it was just a lot of insecurity out there, and there wasn't a lot of bullish or bearish follow through for that matter. Maybe a little bit more bearish, but overall, it was a tougher time to trade. And when times get like that, then it's time to rein in. Maybe jump out of some trades, and and sometimes completely jump out of trades. I mean, maybe just clear the board and stay out for a while until things settle down, right? And then other times might have some good trends and different sectors are going. Then you could load up on more trades in different areas of the market. Okay, position sizing. This is going to vary too. Now, in the challenge, we're starting out with 3,000, and so we're going to take, and we on the first trade we always take 60% of that. Okay, we take 2,000. Um, if you're trading with like 10,000, and you want to be a little bit more conservative, then yeah, 1,000 per trade. That's about 10%. All right, and you don't want to go too much. And there's been, I know there in the chats as well. I've been off for a little while for our meeting here, but a little while ago in chat, there people were saying that they're going to leave part of the accounts in liquid assets. Now, in day trading accounts, all right, you're required to keep 25K liquid, but if you're not a day trader, do you put 50, 60% of your account out there or more out there on your trades? I would try to leave some liquid at all times, just because you might be in some decent trades and then see a beautiful setup somewhere, and you're going to want something. Or hey, if things go bad, you still got a decent percentage of your account that isn't being affected. Okay, but with 10,000 putting, if you let's say you did three top threes and you put 1,000 in each, well, that's 30% of your accounts out there on it. All right, and if you're fine with that, the one thing you got to do with all of your trades is control the risk, right? And we trade near-term options, one or two strikes in the money. Now those can pay off really, really well, but if you're not paying attention, they can also, if they get away from you, they can also hit your account, right? So you got to pay attention to stops. But 2% risk per trade. Now, options, that's kind of tough, but with stocks, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, But as far as the top three, a lot of people I've heard from, they'll put 500 into the top three, and I can't give you investment advice or anything like that. The top three, we throw them out there, and this is an opportunity for you guys to go out, look at the trade, see if it's something you're interested in, and then devise it yourselves how you want to trade it and find your own approach to that. Uh, my approach, yeah, I find the grid setups, and I put price targets on there. I'll put stops on there to help out. If you want to go a little bit tighter on stops, you could go tighter on the stops. You want to go looser on the stops, you could go looser. You could get out after 2 days. Like one of our members, you could write it until it closes inside the band, or you could write it until it hit the price target. There's a lot of ways you can play that. With me, if you get in a nice trade and you get a good gain, you always hear me say this probably every day. Anytime you take a profit, you're making money, even if it's a small profit, and you're never going to lose money in the market by taking a profit, right? Even if it's a small profit, you're not going to lose money. Good question. Um, yeah, risk what you're willing to lose. And we try to keep that risk between 25 and 30% initially. When we get into a trade, that's the setup we're looking for. Yeah, sometimes they can run through stops, they can gap over stops, which change things. But for the most part, we're on some of the better setups we can find out there. Some of the better setups we find, we might have 20% risk, and sometimes 30% risk. Usually, on average, and those have been with us for a while, you probably see 25 to 30% is what we're willing to risk in the trades. Yet, if we're risking that, right, we want to make 75 to 8 to 90% gain on that type of a risk, right? The 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. Okay, so I'll give the top three out. This is the time of day when I've got a big list already of things I've been watching today, but I won't put a final list together until, what time is it now? Yeah, I mean, I try to get out there on the website by 1 o'clock, and it takes some doing to get it all written up and stuff. But I'll be going out and look. Right, Vegas. Yeah, trading options. That's a possibility, right? Vegas says, for those watching the recording, Vegas says all trades we should understand that we could lose it all. As option traders, yes, and planes can catch on fire, right? Okay. My screen just went blank. That's Yeah. We were in a Boeing trade in a prior challenge, and a Boeing plane caught on fire on a runway at an airport, and down went Boeing. Yeah, that's just the market. Things can happen at any time, and over time, news will be about 50-50. It should be. Upgrades that go your way, downgrades that go against you, news that goes your way, news that go against you over time, that should about even out. We've had plenty of those that have gone against us, but over time, they'll even out for us. Okay. All right. So again, the gains, that's going to vary. I mean, I'd love to say, yeah, on all of our trades, we're going to hit our price target and we're going to make 100%, 90%. Right? There are times when we might make trades, or you might make trades at the top three and a nice gain and just take it. You're not worried about a price target. Like one of our members, 2 days, he's out. Doesn't really matter if it's gonna keep going for him or not. He just exits, or if he's going away for a weekend or vacation or something like that. He just get out of the trades and go before he goes. Um, right, Deb, you bring up a great point. Deb says, as investors, it's not all about making money, but about uh, but it should be about protecting our investment. Yeah, you're right. Protecting, you can, if you look at the teams. No, wait, never mind. Go there. Yeah, we got to try to protect our losses. You're going to have losses, but if you can protect those as you and look for the upsides where you can make more than you could lose, and that's why we always try to keep our 3-to-1. It doesn't take very many winning trades to erase several bad trades, and we've all seen that here. George, George, hang on just a sec. Hey, George asked about where we're at in the $100,000 challenge. We talked about this yesterday. We looked at it at if we were, and I haven't looked at the option of Boeing here in the last little while, but yesterday afternoon when we were looking at Boeing options and all the results of the challenge, we were sitting around 3,200, right around that range. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, right around that range is where we're at. Okay. So I hope that helps you out with the length of time for the trades when the trend rider and the vibe. It's just going to vary. It depends on how fast it moves for us. And it doesn't always move for us right out of the gate. Sometimes it does, and it's great. You might be in it for maybe a day or two. Maybe if it keeps going, maybe longer. But it just gonna it we Boeing. I mean, we've been in Boeing for a while. It wasn't really showing any big bearish signals, yet it wasn't going anywhere. And so we've been in Boeing. It's taken a while for it to take off. Now it looking like it might run for us, but it's taken a while. So the length of time is going to vary. We've in the past we've done we had a little what's called a candlestick challenge. We set rules for that. And if you're trading candlestick patterns, first of all, you need a good trend. You like that, but then also candlestick patterns are typically short-term patterns. So we set a rule that we were only going to be in a trade 4 days. Hit or stop, we got out sooner, but even if it was going our way, 4 days and we'd exit. Okay, so there's different rules for maybe different styles of trading, and some work for some and some work for others. Really, the most important thing is to come up with your own trading style. I mean, you can, here, obviously you see that we practice patience. We set up a trade, we look at it and let it play out as long as it's not hitting our stops or looking awfully bearish. We, for the most part, we try to let it play out to fruition. And that's why we'll sit on our hands sometimes when it looks like it might be really bearish and hang in there, and because it's not really triggering on us on anything, and a lot of times it'll come back and go our direction. Okay, so hope that helps out. Any stocks anybody wants to look at? If you do, just type them in there. United Healthcare, they got a big upgrade yesterday and they shot up. A little bit of profit taken in there today. I know Humana was downgraded again today. Some of the stocks that we've been looking at, Deere. Now, Deere was one that we wanted to hold 90 and run up through that 7. Well, you can see today it's not holding 90. At least right now, it's not holding 90, and it's a pretty bearish move to see this break through 90. With Cree, yeah, this is a nice setup. Now, I didn't see this yesterday, but very bullish setup. This reminds me of 3D a while ago, where 3D jumped up, got away from the 7. I'm looking at this area right through here. You see this jumps up, gets a long ways away from the 7, and then just kind of consolidates more so in an upward trend, very small days. Here we had up and down and up and down, but notice when it got away, it just kind of slowly consolidated and hits the 7 and bam, shot off of it yesterday. That's a great looking signal yesterday. It got a little bit overextended up there where it was trading about $1.50 higher than 7. Not too bad, but running today, this would be one if you got into it. Right it with the upper Bollinger Band. Right here, right now, it's probably close to $2 away from the 7. I don't know if I would jump into that right now. It's maybe $1.50, but yeah, I'd look for a little bit more consolidation back. And so if I jump over to 3D, trying to think where it was. I was right here, where this jumped up right here. Jumps up, but then you get a big day down, jumps back up, gets away from the 7, and kind of consolidates just little tiny days. More so upward consolidation, not really going anywhere, but let the 7 catch up with it. Where it went on a top 3, believe it was right there, and it was right there where it broke up out of that little consolidation area above the prior resistance over there at 82.5. That's a nice looking signal. It just took off. MetLife, yeah, this is one I've been watching today. It's come across the scans and some of the stocks that I look at. And this is a nice looking setup, right? This would be a bull vibe. Let me just bring that up. See all the averages rising, you even got uptrending indicators. Doesn't have that strong a volume, but for this type of an entrance, this type of a trade, you don't necessarily need it. Now it's early, right? If it did pull back to 54, it's not ready to go today. But even if it did pull back, odds are it's still going higher. It's got a little ascending triangle pattern going on it. This is a nice looking, very bullish breakout right here. If this holds like this, it could make a top three with a move like that. Strong move. How far could it go? These I'm going to give them a couple bucks most of the time. In an option trade, that's a decent move. Higher dollar stocks, they could move a lot more than that, but I wouldn't be surprised just to hit 56, even up into the upper 50s here within the next couple of weeks. Is what I look at here. But watching at the close, sometimes these can fool you and come back down by the end of the day. But right now, it's a nice, very nice looking signal. Good job, Richard. BP. Yeah, now this one's a little bit different. Now a lot of these stocks, like from overseas, you're gonna see a lot of gaps. When this thing gaps, you get on the right side of these gaps, you're loving it. You get on the wrong side of the gaps, you're hating it. Because man, so this is one that where it's gapped up a couple little days. This could turn into a DD. Where you got some slow consolidation, let the seven catch up with it. But this, you might have a volatile ride here on BP. It's not time to go in now. If I was in the trade, I wouldn't exit unless it drop below the seven. I'd put a stop down here at the seven if I was already in it. But right now, there's better entrances out there that, like we were just looking at on Met, would have a little bit better technical setup. Easy in. Now here's another gapper, huh? Lots of gap in action here. Um, Yeah, well, it's dropped below the seven. To get bullish on it, it's got to come back up over 59 and over that 7-day moving average. It's too early to get bearish. There's just not enough there at right now. Now, if you wanted to get bearish on it, you'd have to look for something where it's hitting the seven. I mean, let's just say it happened today and close like this at the end of the day, where it hits that seven and then pushes back off of it. Fill that in for you. If you got a candle like that where it comes up, hits a seven, turns and runs lower, then you got some action going here that could drop it probably to the $56.50 area where there's a little bit, maybe 57, a little bit of support underneath that. The 50-day moving average is right around that range as well. That's likely where it would go if you got a candle like that. But right now it'd be too early to go bullish, a little bit early to go bearish. It's just kind of in between right now. Potash. Yeah, they've had a nice signal here today, nice breakout. This is a stock that we were just talking about in our meeting with Potash. Um, the fundamentals don't suggest a move higher, though the technicals here, I mean, even when the fundamentals don't suggest a move higher, the technicals can give you good signals. So this might run, but it's not likely, according to their fundamentals, gonna maybe fill this gap and run, just go shooting up from here. Technically, yeah, this is a great looking setup. Uh, could it be a little bit overextended here? Well, it could. A better way you can look at that in the near term would go here to a 1 hour chart. See how high it is above the 7 hour moving average. And you notice it is. It's coming back a little bit. A better move to enter on. Would watch this, for the next couple hours, and until the market's getting there towards a close, and see if that 7 catches up with it, and that would be a better entry. Right here, it's a little bit overextended, but it's a nice looking breakout. And we've got some trainings planned to show you what I'm talking about when I say the fundamentals here don't suggest a big upside on potash. This area, if you've been with us for a while, you know that the fertilizers here, the potashes and the Monsantos and Mosaics and Agriums and CF and all those are a little bit difficult to trade at times. Dunkin' Brands. It's lunchtime. Sounds good to me. Let's go. Uh, and now I'd check the news. I haven't looked into news on this. Maybe you saw it today, but it's got big volumes, a major big reversal here. It's still up for the day, but that type of action tells me there was maybe earnings or something suggesting that wild action there. They had some type of an announcement. I'd check and see what that is, and but let this thing settle down a little bit before I'd look to enter. Yeah, it'd be very, even if it closed at the highs, I would just question a giant day like that, whether or not that's going to have the strength to get up through 48.5 on a huge move or what. But it's been range bound here. You're looking at it, it's been range bound basically between 48 and a half, 47, maybe 46 and a half. Mainly those two levels is where it's been range. It break out of that range would propel it quite a bit higher. Yeah, met options priced well. That's a nice looking setup. Watch that towards the close of the day. Coca-Cola. Let me bring this in on a vibe. Just want to see where these moving averages were and see it's coming down on the 50. Is the 50 that big a deal for it? Kind of. It just kind of skirted around it here. It did hold it around here. But 40 is another big number right there too. And so it's way overextended right now. I wouldn't trade it now. It's the sevens way up in this range versus where it's at now is quite a bit lower. So I wouldn't trade it here. Probably a good 75 cents or more. There's a chance of consolidation around the $40 level. You've also got the 50-day moving average right at that, pretty much that same level, and that's where it's kind of looking at. It's hitting right now is the 50-day. It might just keep running down. It might consolidate around here for a little while. A better entrance, if you're in a trade bearish on it right now, you got puts. You probably have a decent little gain in here. I'd watch this level. If it can hold that level, then obviously the bets are off to the bears. If it breaks through 40 and the 50-day moving average, it's got probably down here, right there really is a next good level for it, right around 39.25, another 75 cents lower, 75 cents lower. We can get through that. That's the next big level underneath it, which would be a nice move for the stock. But the thing is, right here where it's gone so far, so fast, I wouldn't enter here, but if you're in it, I don't think I'd exit either. And if I bring back the Bollinger Bands, no, they're way down here. And so if it did keep falling, the bands could be around 39.25. Really, that's the bigger level right here, above the $39 level, just above it. Okay. Tesoro. Yeah, Tesoro's rolled over about 85 cents. If we look at this, here's the channel. You could also, the channel's been about 58 and a half down to 56, right through there. You could also, let me get that line out of there. But I would give it down here. I wouldn't bail yet on it. I would give it down to about 56. If it breaks out of this channel right here, it's going to 60. There's about a $2 channel, and if it breaks out, it's saying it's going to likely run another $2 right there. So watch it and see if it breaks out of that channel. Some of the other stocks in the area, they're still bullish. They've weakened a little bit today, but nothing substantial. There's no big, strong bearish signals here. It's closing below the 7. If that was your stop, well, it's closing below the 7. You could also say, well, it's holding above the lower channel here. There's different ways you can look at that. But it would be a decision you need to get to make as a trader. Is it closing below the 7? If that was your stop, then get out. Now, if you made it yesterday, I doubt the 7 was a stop. That's really tight. Maybe yesterday's low would have been the stop on Tesoro. For me, that's what it would have been, yesterday's low. And that's what I'd give it. I'd let it play out unless it closed below yesterday's low. Then I'd exit. And then probably pretty bearish. If this did break down to the downside here, it's got a long ways to run. There's not a whole lot down there. Next level for it, geez, 52. Maybe 54. There's a little bit at 54, but nothing big till way down here towards 50. The bigger one for it. So watch it, and I would give it till yesterday's low. Starbucks. Yeah, I looked at this one a little bit earlier today, and so it's come up the last couple of days. You look at the bottoming here, the bottoming volume, where it came down here to 76, and you notice 76 was right over here as well. And look at the volumes. The volumes picked up around the level here, suggesting that 76 is a good level of support for it. It shot up yesterday off of it on some pretty decent volumes yesterday. Today, it might equal yesterday's, which is decent, just under a 50-day average of volume. Gets through 78, you got something going. It's probably coming up to, the recent high there at 79 if it gets through 78. And 78, really isn't that big of a level. If you look through 78 here, yeah, caught a couple times here. Was there, and eventually, after just a few days, got through the level. When it hit it over here, it was on lighter volumes. You see when it bounced. When it hit that level before, it was on lighter volumes, and it ended up going right through it. So I don't think 78 shouldn't be that big of a resistance level for it. I know that one of you are in some calls on this. Yeah, today's action where it's pushing up over the 7, if it closes towards a high, is very bullish. And if it has some decent volumes, bullish, it could hit 79. And 79 is about where that lower Bollinger, the upper Bollinger Band is going to be as well. If I bring in the averages, the 100, it's not one of the bigger levels of support and resistance. I don't know if it's really paying attention to the 100. I think more along this area right here, it's paying attention to 76 and the 100. Just the 100 happens to be there. It's got the 50 up there as well. So that's about, if I got up towards at 79, it's got the 50, it's got the upper Bollinger Band coming down on it. That's probably where I'd get out. But right here, yeah, it still looks like it might have some room to run. Vegas, yeah, Vegas says typically when a stock consolidates, it normally resolves itself the same direction before consolidation. Well, yeah, it comes back down to the trend's your friend. And a lot of times that's what it's going to do. If it's consolidating, the stock that's in an uptrend and consolidates, it'll normally stick with the trend. Trends change, right? The second half of that saying that the trend is your friend is until in the end. Okay. Now, the odds of you jumping into a trade and the trend happens to change is pretty rare. Yeah, they're there. But it's pretty rare that you jump into a trade and all of a sudden the trend changes because you got in. I was talking to a guy once, and he, I asked him how his trading was going. He says that well, I jumped in this trade, and he's laughing, and he goes, "Just my luck. It's just my luck." And I said, "Well, what happened?" He goes, "Oh, I jumped in this trade, and it had a trend, it had a nice trend and everything, and indicators looked good, and the very day I get in the trade, well, the next day it goes against me." And it went against me the next day. And so after 3 days, I was just fed up and thought, oh, it's just my luck trading, and I jumped out. Okay. And then he says the day after I got out, it turned and went higher. And we've all been there, right? I know you're all laughing because we've all done that. If you've been trading a long time, it happens. Okay. Well, I without even looking at the stock, I said, hey, well, to me, it sounds like you bought at resistance and you sold at support. You know, And then we went and looked at the stock, and that's exactly what he did. Exactly. I, I don't remember the stock. I'm trying to find an example here, but I'll just kind of draw one in. Okay, now let's say that this was that stock, and I'll say here was a clear level of resistance, and back here in time, the stock had hit that level as resistance. Well, he bought it right there, and I'm not kidding. Within 2 weeks of that, he bought it at resistance, and then a couple days where it goes down, he sells out at the bottom and then turns and runs. That's one thing the 7-day moving average does for us is try to get that out. It gets a long ways away from the seven, or comes near a level of resistance. There's our times that we'll exit. We'll look for breaks of resistance, but the seven will put us in. If you got an uptrend going, it puts us in on these days where it's coming back up, right? But just some funny stories over the year. We've all done that. Yum Brands, yeah, they got an upgrade yesterday. Yeah, this would be one if you're not in it. Just watch and see if it consolidates. The highs here at 78. But watch this for just some slight consolidation back here and see if you can't get a push higher. Now, there are times, and I was looking at one of these the other day. I forget the stock, but some nice bullish consolidation. Oh, it was Google. It was having some nice bullish consolidation, and it didn't give a clear breakout signal. A lot of times, if you wait for that, you can get these gaps, and that's one of the drawbacks is if you wait and look for the nice signal, you can get those gaps and they gap away from you, and then you got to wait for another opportunity to get in, and that's what it'd be right now. Just wait for another opportunity and see if it can come back a little bit. The volumes are rising in here. I'd watch the volumes as it comes up here to 78. Look for some consolidation to get a higher low locked in here somewhere, and where to trade it. All right, piece of Priceline. AK, you said nothing from the minutes. You mean the morning minutes or? Oh, I gotta go check that. Sorry, I've been in a meeting. The Fed minutes. Thanks, AK. Yeah, well, look at the reaction here on the Fed minutes. I have to go dig into those. They came out like what 13 minutes ago, and you can see the reaction to the futures. Overall, some wild initial reactions, but here we are flat on the futures. I don't know if it's really gonna, unless there is some big thing that was said during that meeting. If there's anything that's really going to be new today, it's down about a buck. So we'll watch this, the reaction here. Thanks, AK. We'll watch this reaction, but like I was saying earlier, I don't know, since it taper's already on the table and it's already taking place, if it's going to be any new revelations of what was going on there. And just looking at it technically, yeah, it's fluctuating quite a bit, but and they're going to do that. There'll be some initial reactions that'll settle down, but nothing major right now. We'll see what happens here. Thanks for bringing that up, KK. Yeah, we had this meeting and took my mind off the market for a little while. So thank you. All right, well, I was looking at some other stocks here. Go look at Priceline. Now, Priceline shot off the bottom a couple days ago on Monday and rallied yesterday. Today it's just a slight pullback. $5. And for this stock, $5. What is it? Not even a 0.5%. So right here, and this remains bullish. It's above the 7. It's above 1150, which I don't think is that big a level for it. But yeah, all you need here is maybe it pulls back a little bit to 150 and bounces higher. Then you've got a nice setup for bullish. Yeah, Yeah, we got a new boss. You're right, Richard, as far as the Fed minutes. Uh, February is when she comes on board. Goldman Sachs down slightly. It's at the 7 there. Um, Really, the 7, yeah, a bigger number below it's 176. But if you got in a trade on Goldman's and 7 was your stop and it did close below it, it's got some support at 176 there. But we'll see where it ends by the day. This is a stock that can turn around really fast with Goldman's. Western Refinery, yeah, now there's a break of the 7 right there. Yesterday it pulled right to it. And today, right now, a clear break of the 7. And if that was 7 was your stop, then this is your exit. If it stays down here around 41, that's your exit. Doesn't mean the nice uptrend's over. It's just meaning we're seeing some short-term weakness, and you never don't know how far those are going to go. So it's bringing uncertainty. It's just more odds of downside risk versus more odds of upside risk. That changes when it drops below the 7 like that. So yeah, if you got in here and 7 was your stop, this is where you exit if it closes here. Now if it closes back above it, then you got a bullish signal, but I don't know if this will. Valero, it's just flat. It just opened here and that's about right where it's at. It's run lower, it's run higher, it's just flat. It's holding 51. Now, not that that's a real important level for it. Just anything of a hold up in that higher range of yesterday is a positive for this. If like we've been talking, if this just gets some bullish consolidation down slightly, lets that 7 catch up with it there, and you get another push up off of it higher, then you've got another nice bull vibe signal. If you get something like that, comes back to the 7, and then you get another push up above it, you got it. So there's nothing there with the Valero to react to at all. Nucor, hey, there you go. And this is going to take me to look at United U.S. Steel as well as we can look at AKS too. But yeah, that's a nice setup. Held all the support right through here that we were talking about. Now it's pushing up over 53, pushing up over the 7. It's a bullish signal right here. Now if it sells back off below the 7, to me it's still holding support level there. I wouldn't exit. Just hang on to this and see if you can't get a rally. A close here would be positive. Would just suggest a higher low being locked in at this point and could run up 54. Look at the volumes here as it approaches those levels, and I'm also going to look over here to see what the volume was when it hits those levels. So right about here, where was the volume during that time? Not a lot. I mean, it shouldn't be a significant level for it. Also right over here, if you look at the volume on those days, there was a lot of volume over here on this day, but when it starts to sell off, not a lot here. So 54, watch it, but still you got higher highs, higher lows coming in. This time, last time it rocketed to 54, was pretty much a straight shot. Well, now you're locking in higher lows. The odds of 54 breaking are growing. Yeah, AK. Yeah, once they got that taper out, the Fed minutes, unless there's some big new secret that was talked about, and really after last year, they're pretty highly groomed. The Fed minutes. Hewlett Packard. Now this is obvious. This is another clear break of the 7 again. If you're bullish on Hewlett Packard and it saw that today, it's time to step out. If that was your stop, step out and look to trade it again, so at another time. But this just puts more bullish nature into the trade than bearish on a close below the 7. If it happens to come back above it by the end of the day, then you might have a nice reversal going on. But if not, then that would be an exit. And as far as a bearish entry, not yet. Just one close below the 7 like that on a stock that's been uptrending, it's not enough for me to go out. I'm going to need a little bit more confirmation that this thing is ready to set and run lower and start reversing the trend. It's had a nice trend here. A trend reversal would be more in line with what I'd be looking for to try to play puts on it. Yeah, you could get aggressive and trade things like that uh, down. In the next level below 27.5, 26.5, decent level below it. How do you tell what alert just went off on Thinkorswim? Yeah, it makes lots of different sounds. There's a sound for making a trade, but I don't know if you can change those or not. But yeah, good question. I mean, as far as what alert goes off, that's the main ones I hear. Is just a little when someone makes a trade, you can hear it uh, chime in a little bit. Microsoft. Let's look at Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft, as far as a bearish entry, hindsight's going to say, oh yeah, I could have got in right there, right? But like I was just saying, one close below the seven like that for me on a stock that's been uptrending, it's not necessarily going to do it. You could look at this at Microsoft here and say, well, hey, Carl, there's a head and shoulders pattern, right? And there is head and shoulders pattern. Where is that's the area that would need to break to confirm that head and shoulders pattern, and it would have about a $2 move in this to the downside just based on the high here from 39 down to where I'll give it about 36. And you could even say get more than two, but so $2 to $3 move in this from the height of the mountain there. But at the same time, you can look over here and we'll look where the 7 is. It's way up here. This is pretty bearish. So it puts odds that we might have a retest here of that prior resistance. Just some consolidation. And to me, that would be a very nice looking signal here if this were to happen. So let's say tomorrow or the next day it comes back up here and hits up here at that same level and doesn't get through it. If it gets through it tomorrow and comes up towards 36.5, then the downside nature is off. But let's say tomorrow it comes up, hits that, what is it, 36.30 mark, whatever that is, and then the next day you get a candle like this pushing down off of it. That means, okay, resistance just locked in here at 36.30, whatever it is. Now we're pushing lower. Now that odds of the $2 to $3 move are extremely in your favor. It might just keep dropping, but where it's so far away from the 7 right now, I would hesitate a little bit to jump in at this point, just because again it's quite a ways off. I go here to an hourly. It's not looking too bad on an hourly. It's just kind of slowly coming down. It's catching up with the 7-hour moving average, but from a daily standpoint, it's still a little bit of ways away from that 7 for my taste. But if that were to do that, can come back up here tomorrow to that low, about 36.30, and then push back down off of it the next day or so after that, would be very bearish, and you probably see that $2 to $3 move. Yeah, I know what you mean, AK. I get these little things up in the upper right, I mean upper left. I hear some little chimes and something will come in. A lot of it's like swim lessons and things like that at Thinkorswim. Um, and sometimes it's other little things going off. But I think there's a message center you can go look at and see what's in there. I have to dig through that again. Yeah, that's a nice chart, AK. Now this is one of those, there's a chart pattern that they're called a wedge. And you could also say that this is a pennant, a flag pennant, but the only issue I would have with a flag pennant at this point is this big gap over here. For a flag pennant, to me to be a more reliable flag pennant, I don't like to see the gaps. I'd like to see it just run up to it, form the pennant, and then jump out. Now, yeah, you're right. This thing's really taken off. It's way above the 7, solid $10 above the 7. Look for some bullish consolidation where it kind of pulls back or goes slightly sideways. Let that 7 catch up with it. It's going to give you a better opportunity to play up towards 300, even higher, if on a break like this. But with that type of a pattern, if this were a decent flag pennant, it's going to give you a price target. I wouldn't consider this a reliable price target based on the gap there. But what you do is you measure from where the breakout started. So say 255, where it broke out above that prior resistance right over here, to where it ended, so 295. So that's saying that $40 move is what you could get here at this point. So that could take it up into the 330, 340 area. Yeah, for a stock like this, it's possible, but I wouldn't call that a reliable flag pennant pattern. And again, that's kind of taken off at this. Again, not going to go straight there. I mean, it'd be cool if it did, right? Just within a day or two, go up 50 points. But it'll have its up and down on the way. But it's a fairly reliable reading and measurement that you can get off those type of patterns. Okay, but yeah, at this point, watch for a little bit of a pullback, and then see if that 7 catches up, and then look for a bounce back up off. That's going to give you AK 306. Pretty easy for a stock like this to go up and hit that. Couldn't argue that at all. All right, everybody. I will be on chat with you. I'm going to be doing my top 3 here. I'll be busy, but I'll be on chat with you. Have anything you want me to look at, you can reach me through there or through email. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.